Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And tonight at NRG Stadium, a statement was made as the Houston Texans take down the Buffalo Bills, throw themselves right back into playoff contention, and are over 500 for the first time in 2025. It feels really good to come in here and have good things to talk about on a Thursday night. If you're with us live, we appreciate you. Make sure, of course, you're subscribed to this YouTube channel. You can always come back, watch it later. And, of course, listen to it anywhere that you get your podcast. Go search Locked On Texans. You get this show and John's Locked On Daily Show as well. I'm Michael Connor. That's John Hickman. Wade Smith, former Texans offensive lineman, and Stan Norfleet with you. Breaking it all down, guys, tonight. What a night. The atmosphere, you could actually feel it through the TV at NRG. There was more red in there than I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more Buffalo blue. The Buffalo fans were still there. But Davis Mills at quarterback once again gets the job done, and the defense stands out all night long. Is it back on?
Is it back on?
Chase back on?
Can I come outside? Can I come outside? Do you get a sack? Wade, you get a sack. Stan, you get a sack. MC, you get a sack. I got a couple sacks. I'm just going to kick it off, y'all. The Houston Texans defense is by far the best defense we've seen since the Legion of Boom. They got it done with the front four. The secondary had some hiccups. Aziz Al-Shaair played an amazing game. We're not going to talk about him a lot like we should, but Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, my goodness, I know we're going to do a FanDuel read, so I hope y'all put some parlays and some live bets on that Texan game. What an amazing game for the Houston Texans. I know y'all going to kick it off, but I'm speechless.
Good speechless. Wait.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, that was an absolute textbook dominant performance by the defense of the Houston Texans. The offensive line for the Buffalo Bills is going to have a long day at the office watching this film because you went through it, and that first time going through it is bad enough, but then when you got to watch the film the next day, they definitely not going to be looking forward to that. The offense did enough to get a W, man. I tell you what, man, the defense did their thing, but the offense moved the ball. They ran the ball pretty well. They play action the ball pretty well. There was a couple of passes that Davis Mills missed that I think I'm looking forward to. With C.J. Stroud being in there, those will be completions, but the receivers were open. They had room to operate, room to work. Offensive line played pretty well. I mean, I know we're going to spend the majority of this night talking about the defense, but I got to show some love to what the offense was able to do because that's how they were able to win the game. You know, special teams kind of let them down a little bit, but that was a huge win for the Houston Texans. It puts them right back in position to control their own destiny. That's all you could ask for. They started off the season 0-3. Now you're 6-5. Like they said at the end of the game, six out of the last 8 games they've won. The defense won it for them. They finished the game. They've had opportunities to close out games and win them in the past, and they've fallen short. This time, they figured out a way to get it done. And I don't know if it ended up being 7 or 8 sacks, but that defensive line just ate. They ate, and they ate some more. I know they full, and they're going to keep eating for the rest of this year. I love what they're doing up front. You just see how they play, and you see that whole swarm mentality, it permeates throughout the entire building. So that was a beautiful game for the Houston Texans.
All right, Stan. Are they back?
You muted.
Oh, you're muted, yeah. Hit the button.
Are they back?
Yeah.
No, they're not back.
They're 6-5. They just beat Buffalo. You can't
Stan,
say it.
come on, Stan. It's Thursday night.
No, y'all doing too much. Calm down. I know we're in the entertainment business, but calm down. Let's talk real football here. Back to me means you are in the driver's seat in the division that you've won the previous 2 years. So by definition, no, they are not back. What I will do is tip my cap to the effort that they put forth tonight on national television in the sweet Battle Red unit. I love the all red joint.
Red is amazing.
With the candy paint on the joint, Wade, with the horn.
Shout out to Prime Sound for playing Houston music in between the commercial breaks too.
Man, listen, whoever produced that tonight, I appreciate what they were doing in the truck. You handled your business. The graphics were right. They had everything ready to go. But I'm going to echo everything you all said, and the defensive effort, it was collective. Now, it's probably the second half of the show. We'll get into some things. It could have gone a little different, but they did enough. I was really impressed overall. We talked about coming into this week, did this team believe? And I said, Davis Mills has done enough the last 2 weeks that the defense believed. If just give us a chance, Davis. With Davis, we can go out here and win it, especially on a fast track in front of our home crowd. And they flew around. I was very curious to see what Joe Brady and that offensive line would do, led by Deion Dawkins, who had his hand full all night with both Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter. How would they combat the edge play? I was like, you can run. Wade will tell you. I've seen them try and do it to Julius Peppers and other outstanding edge defenders. They used to do it when I was in Dallas to DeMarcus Ware. Sometimes the best way to negate that pass rush and them boys screaming off the edge is to run right at them. I didn't see enough of that from Buffalo. Whatever the game plan was from Joe Brady, clearly Josh Allen got rattled, sacked 8 times. I think he was knocked around 12 total. It was a collective effort, and what's even more impressive, that's without your top 2 safeties in Jalen Petrie and MJ Stewart.
Right.
So back end of your secondary, Kalen Bullock, you. I know we got a ton of more show to talk about that, but to again, just to elaborate on where you all are, I thought the defensive game plan tonight, led by those 2 edge defenders, those linebackers were flying around. I can keep going, but it was a collective team effort tonight on defense, and the offense did just enough not to lose the game for them.
Yeah, and the craziest part of that game, guys, is that when you go back and we're going to look at it and talk about it again later on, really, and you could probably do this for many games this season, there were points left on the field, right? I mean, obviously you had a penalty on the interception return for a touchdown that that was 4 extra points that you would have had in this football game. Wade, you mentioned it. There were some throws early on that weren't made that probably didn't help your chances there. It still feels like there's untapped potential there for a football team that could do more every week. Am I wrong there?
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like you guys mentioned, I think the first 3 drives for Davis Mills, where he struggled to have the 1 of 8 passing, 10 passing yards with a passer rating of 39.6. And then after those first 3 drives, 10 to 13, 112 yards, 2 TDs, 141 passer rating. So he absolutely kind of settled into the game a little bit. But I don't think he's able to do that without the first half performance of a few elements. Number 1, 0 sacks for the game. Now, this wasn't a team in Buffalo, especially after they lost Ed Oliver, that was getting after the quarterback. They started off hot, kind of failed in the last couple of weeks, but this is the 50-11. I remember back in the day, 50-11 time. This is the 50-11 offensive line combination, but it might be the best one. This was the best offensive line combination, right? So we got to give kudos to the O-line. Trent Brown, Titus Howard continue to be the captain that he is and just playing good football. But then also in that first half, I want to say the yards per carry for Houston on the ground was around 5.5. This offense looks completely different. When they run the ball for over 100 yards, they average 28 points in a game. So we look at the element that the offensive line provided for the running back group, and then we also saw how the offense was able to play off the play action game, which helped out Houston a lot in this game. So I thought Davis Mills played well in the first half. I thought the offensive line played well in the first half. I thought Nick Caley was masterful, especially in those last 3 drives in the first half. Overall, when I look at the points that were left out on the board, or like what I like to call the opportunities left out there, you see the difference in between maybe CJ not being out there and then Davis Mills being out there, the pass to Dalton Schultz in the red zone that was underthrown. I think Houston settled for 3 there. And then also the Higgins, when he was wide open a couple of times, you look at the yards left out on the field and what that could have meant. But opportunities was left out on the field, yeah. Can we nitpick it? I'm sure we will when we close out the show. You see the difference in the offense with CJ in terms of throws, without CJ, but O-line, man, I thought was
the difference.
Can't ask for better from the offensive line, and kudos to those guys.
Yeah.
You're muted, Wade.
Davis Mills looked comfortable out there in the pocket. They weren't pressuring him. He had opportunities to go through his progression. Like we mentioned, running the football helped with that as well because the play action gave time for routes to develop down the field and you to get some explosive plays. I like the fact that they were able to distribute the ball to a lot of different guys. There was Christian Kirk making plays, Higgins making plays, Nico Collins making plays. Like there was guys making plays all over the place. And that's the type of brand of ball that I'm sure that's what they pictured is this is what kind of team we're going to be. We're going to be able to distribute the ball to multiple guys. We're going to be able to run the football. I thought Woody Marks and Nick Chubb ran the ball hard. They like a lot of their yards. They were breaking tackles. They were falling forward. It wasn't just that the offensive line played well because the offensive line did play well, but I like that the running backs ran hard and they got extra yards where they were there to get. So, I know Stan mentioned earlier that the offense did just enough not to lose the game, but I would say this. I thought that the offensive line played and the offense played the style of game that plays right into what they want to do on the defense side of the ball. Remember, the defense only gave up one touchdown the entire game. The kickoff return for the touchdown, that's the only reason why this was an actual game. You take away that kickoff return for a touchdown, this ain't a game. This game is a 2-score game, and I think the Texans comfortably go ahead and finish it off. But special teams, they had that miscue. But besides that, like I said, I thought the offense moved the ball pretty consistently throughout the game. Even though they were also consistent of not being able to finish in the red zone. That's something that's been bothering them throughout this entire year. That kind of hit them again today, this game. But I thought that the offense played well. I thought the defensive back end, Bullock. This defense forces turnovers. That kid finds a way to find the ball. He usually is catching the ball. He's a midfield safety and he's finding overthrows but he caught a deflection. But that forced fumble that he made, to me, that was one of the most significant plays I've seen him make in his career. That was going to be a first down conversion for the Buffalo Bills, and he knocks that ball loose. And the Texans come away with the ball. I think they got a field goal in that game. That's the difference in the ball game when you look at it, because that last drive, Buffalo's having to score a touchdown as opposed to kicking a field goal to win it, and they got in range to kick that field goal. So I was just really, really excited with what I saw all the way around, and everything besides the kickoff team. I just thought it was a damn good performance, especially if you relate it back to what you've seen throughout the Texans this year. The offense played one of their better games tonight, and I thought the defense really solidified that they're the best defense in the league with their performance tonight.
I feared that this Thursday night game was going to end up resulting like last year's Thursday night game against Detroit. 5 interceptions. The Lions find a way to win that game. 8 sacks today, and then it still goes down to the wire. But when you talk about how they've gotten better throughout the year, Wade, 0-5 in 1-score games up until Seattle. Last 3 weeks with Davis Mills, up until Denver, 3 1-score victories. So you talk about a team that's finding themselves and being resilient and all of those classic cliches. This is what the Houston Texans team is right now. So shout out to DeMeco Ryans and his squad, because they are playing inspired football, and we need to call it that.
The 2 interceptions and the 1 forced fumble by Caitlin Bullock back there necessarily show up in the stat sheet. I thought Kamar Lassiter battled. They talked in the broadcast about how he's really a defensive lineman mentality out there on the corner. And you see he's a traditional SEC corner. He's going to be physical in the run game. He's going to be where he's supposed to be. And any of the limitations that were part of his draft evaluation, he has clearly exceeded or played up to his second-round draft selection. So he may not get the gaudy stats like Stingley gets on the other side, but his technique and playing within the confines of the defense, I thought was excellent. Again, especially being down 2 starters, or at least one other starter on the back end there. Well, 2 starters, in Jalen Petrie and MJ Stewart. I want to go back, though, to what I thought was a sneaky play of the game. It was the first drive of Buffalo in the 4th quarter. It was a 9-play, 40-yard drive. The first 4th down conversion that the Texans held them, I thought that was huge. They were really close. I thought if they could have got points there, I figured they were going to get the ball back. And now instead of having to score a touchdown, maybe a field goal would win it for them. But I thought that fourth down was exceptional. I thought the effort from the guys on the inside, Tim Settle, there's Tommy T showing up again. This might have been the best football game I've seen in 2025 from the Texans' interior of that defensive front. Rankins and the boys were all over the place. And it really, when you got those edge guys screaming, but then the inside big boys is cleaning it up, it's really not creating any seams for the quarterbacks or running backs to be able. And you saw James Cook was trying to find somewhere to go. Let me get you going to the outside, and then let me come back inside for a little bit, and it just wasn't there. So hats off to the big boys up front on the interior of that D-line cooking as well.
They were cooking all night as a team. We'll get into more of it here in a brief second, including I have to ask two of you on this show for an apology. We're going to do that here in a moment on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. All right, before we get there, though, I want to tell you guys about PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no time better than right now to get in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. Takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. It's always good to be right, especially when the Texans win a football game. And that's what happened tonight over the Buffalo Bills. Hi, and welcome back to the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman, and former Texans lineman Wade Smith. We're going to keep breaking this one down tonight. But before we do, real quick, I just want to get it out of the way because I just thought of it a moment ago because Wade brought up the name a minute ago of Christian Kirk. Wade, on the show this week, I had 2 people on this show, John Hickman and Stan Norfleet, calling for his release.
No, I did not.
Or maybe it was John. My bad. It was John. I'm sorry.
It was not a release. It was not a release. It was a rearranging of the depth chart and priority. That's what it was.
I said there's no way they're releasing, and we need to talk about this running back room. We need to get to that at some point before we get out of here. But at what he's being paid and what he's done in this league, there was no chance they aren't playing Christian Kirk. So he led them in receptions today. I'm not sure if he led them in yards. I have to take another quick peek at it. But he showed up today. But no, him getting released was never an idea that I suggested.
You know, we want to talk about apologies. The last 3 games, that young man out of Iowa State, 2 touchdowns. He had one tonight, Jaden Higgins. And apologies is really not needed. We talking ball, but I think without CJ Stroud, I think what's a good takeaway is some of these guys that Houston will absolutely need down the stretch, they're finding their groove without their franchise quarterback. I think that's something we may need to talk about a little bit tonight and maybe when we join back on next week on Tuesday. But it's good to see Higgins get busy. Dalton Schultz has continued to do what Dalton Schultz has been doing. Woody Marks has been good for Houston in certain areas. But then also, I can't wait to see Trent Brown protect his franchise quarterback of CJ Stroud. Like that offense, all year, dating back to August, it's been this guy left guard rotated out. It's been this guy, Cam Robinson, now traded out. But it finally feels like this is what their vision was. And it's starting to show a little bit as well. So guys are finding their stride right now without CJ Stroud. I'm excited to see what it looks like when he gets back and he can make some of these throws that Davis Mills, who's been playing great, can't make.
You guys don't believe there's a quarterback controversy like people are going to want to say? I'm not going to lie to you. I ran into multiple people this week that came up to me that I talk football with regularly, and they're like, I want Davis Mills to keep starting. I'm like, dude, we're not doing this. We love what Davis.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, y'all. Let's not do that.
Wade, you played with some backup quarterbacks, and I know that you know about that life. Like, people are a little bit crazy with that, right? Let's just we'll
I don't
shoot it
ever
down right
remember-
now.
I mean, TJ Yates came in and led the team to a playoff run, but I never remember thinking people saying to themselves like,
Yeah.
Schaub doesn't need to be the starter next year. It was, if Schaub was here, we would have won the Super Bowl. So I didn't really have to deal with that type of situation with the backup where people were calling for him. I would just say this with this whole quarterback situation and what's going on. CJ Stroud at the beginning of the year was getting beat up. The offensive line was not playing well. If you give CJ Stroud time, he will light you up. And what Davis Mills has been getting over these past few weeks, if you give CJ Stroud that's why, like John said earlier, and like I mentioned at the very beginning, like there was throws that were missed. That gives you some excitement because you know when CJ comes back, and if the offensive line continues to play like they played the last few weeks, and give him time, he's gonna pick people's apart. And because these different receivers we're talking about, these younger guys are growing up and they're making plays and they're getting used to making plays. They're expecting to make plays. That means that CJ Stroud has lots of options of guys that he can throw the ball to in those open windows. You continue to run the ball well, there's going to be some open windows. And he's an accurate ass quarterback. He was one of the most accurate quarterbacks when he came out of the draft. What do he call himself? A ball placement specialist? Like that's what he is. So if you give him time to let him do that, then is good night for your opponents, because you got to deal with that offense that is coming into its own, playing better ball, and you got to deal with that defense that continues to put their foot on people's necks. So I just like what I saw out of the offense today, but understanding that there's more out there for them, and you get CJ Stroud back healthy against a division opponent like the Indianapolis Colts, a game that if you want to have any chance of coming back and winning this division, you're going to have that game, and you got 2 shots at Indianapolis that can kind of close that gap. I'm excited about that aspect. I'm excited about the fact that this line back at full strength now, because like it was mentioned, you got Brown at right tackle, you got Ingram at guard, you got Andrews at center, you got Titus, and then you got Ursary. That's a good front. And then when you put Blake Fisher at tight end, it looks good. I'm seeing guys getting moved off the ball. I'm seeing the Texans running the ball consistently. And if you have them running the ball consistently, the offense becomes no longer a liability. It becomes an asset.
I want to add a few things. Yes, there is no quarterback controversy. CJ Stroud is the franchise quarterback. Yes. Had CJ been there, it is likely he would have connected, especially with Higgins. And Higgins had a nice day, but there were several plays to Higgins that would have been big games. Yes, Davis Mills performed admirably. I wanted to see the pass attempts come down. I didn't think Davis Mills throwing the ball 41 and 45 times the last 2 ball games, respectively, was a good formula. I think he was down in the 30s tonight. Davis Mills, 16 to 30. That's about the area where he needs to be. And you can do that when you're running the football the way that the Texans did for about 108 yards, I believe, on the ground. The other thing I want to add, swinging it back to CJ, is this. Davis Mills from now on, and they won't talk about it. I don't know how they specifically divvy up the reps in practice. Davis Mills said when he had to come in, that Denver game? He was saying that him and Mertz had to split the scout team reps. They're going to have to change the way that they practice to make sure, and I'm not saying go crazy and split the reps in half, but they're going to have to make sure that Davis Mills touches the football and is a part of the Texans game plan. That's now 5 concussed games missed by CJ Stroud over the last 3 seasons. We can't ignore that. So for the sake of this team continuing on, it is my belief that the locker room in there at NRG, they believe when Money Mills is out there that they have a chance. It's not saying they don't believe that with CJ, but you must be prepared for anything that could happen. So I'll be anxiously seeing the reporting and how those reps are being distributed, and hopefully CJ won't miss any more time. The last thing I'm going to add is Davis is very fortunate tonight. That 3rd down percentage is abysmal. I just looked at it. What was it? It was like 3rd down. They were 16.7%. You are not winning many football games on any level when you are 2 or 12 on 3rd down. So they were fortunate today. It worked. It was just why I said it was just enough. But when that defense is playing like that, taking the ball away, harassing Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was without some of his weapons. We know that. They didn't have some guys over there that they would normally have, but it's the NFL. The Texans were down some defenders as well, so it evens out to some degree. Hell of an effort, especially in front of that national audience tonight.
I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but is there any chance a team calls after this year looking to get Davis Mills because they want to throw him in the mix, see if he can play for him?
No chance Casario's letting him go.
Well, he ain't gonna be here. My bad.
No chance.
Stan, hold on now. No chance.
Jets. Jets.
The price is right. The price is right.
Somebody calls and says, "Hey, here's a 3rd round pick for Davis Mills."
No,
Okay.
It'd have to be a second. It'd have to be a second.
Second?
Like a second and like
Quincy,
a 4th next year or something like that. But that
Quincy
Nick
Williams in the
Casario's
3rd
always
round
shown
pick.
that he's a guy that's about value. He has his trade charts. He figures out value.
Wait, he just gave away Damian Pierce for free.
Damian Pierce hadn't done
Nobody
anything in like
was gonna
3
trade
years,
for
though.
Damian
Time out. We all know that teams have been calling for Damian Pierce the past 2 seasons.
In the past 2 seasons, the situation didn't call for him to get moved.
He was a
This is
healthy
this year.
scratch.
Last year,
No, I'm
Who
saying
was the-
last year he could have dealt him. Coming into this year, he could have dealt him, and he chose to hold on to him. Nick Casario made a blunder.
What was the running back depth chart last year? It was Joe Mixon and who else?
Dare, Joe Mixon, and British Brooks was hurt.
So you're gonna trade Damian Pierce?
Jawar Jordan was hurt.
Listen to
Jawar,
the
he
people
made
you're
the
naming.
practice
So you're
squad.
gonna trade
He
Damian
made the
Pierce?
original roster.
Come on now.
What I'm saying is, if Damian Pierce is not your 1st or 2nd runner, and the team is trading for him, you'd rather move him when Joe's running like that than end up with what you got. You got nothing. They put him at kick returner last year.
In all fairness, they did trade a running back last year.
Last year, if he wasn't the second runner last year,
They had a running back that they did trade last year. They had Cam Akers, and they traded him.
Akers.
Yeah.
value.
I'm just saying I'm not sold that Nick Casario fully understands. And again, I'm not saying I could do his job. I'm acknowledging I'm astute enough to ask certain questions about his job because I've been in the rooms with men like him that make the decisions, a former NFL scout here. I'm telling you, that was a mistake. They should have moved on from DP either coming into this year or at some point at the deadline last year. It was a mistake.
Yeah, that could be true, but I don't think that eliminates any possibility for Davis Mills getting traded if somebody comes with, hey, we need a quarterback. We're going to give you a 2nd-round pick. They're going to trade Davis Mills. Yeah, that's the whole reason why you give them little extensions and keep them around, not because you're in love with them and you need them that much.
I push back on that because you have to ask yourself, and I'm asking the three of y'all to do this. Do you believe the Texans can go find a backup quarterback in the price point like a Davis Mills, that they have confidence in like Davis Mills, that has the proof in the pudding as of recent 3-game winning streak like Davis Mills? Do you believe they can go find better at the same money or cheaper?
Stan, let me come at you a different way, Stan. Why was Graham Mertz getting so many practice reps? You just talked about the fact that Davis Mills wouldn't get enough practice reps. Why would they give all these practice reps to this other guy? Because they want to create a situation to where they can have a Davis Mills part 2 because they can move on from a Davis Mills and make moves, make him available for trade. To me, that makes sense. That's why those reps. I'm not disputing
your logic, Wade. What I'm saying is
I'm being logical. Yeah, that's
what I'm saying. I'm not disputing that. I'm disputing who's the more productive player. The Texans are in a Super Bowl window. If C.J. Stroud goes down next year, I'm not trusting Graham Mertz that he's going to become Tony Romo. I'm not. Tony was undrafted. I know Mertz was drafted.
If C.J. Stroud goes down, you're not winning the Super Bowl anyway. So that
they just won 3 games.
Stan, are they Super Bowl contender right now?
If I can jump in and say,
right now,
if I can jump in and say, if the team falls
with that defense playing like that. Yeah, with that offensive line combo, running the football like that, and with that defense playing like that, they can beat anybody in the AFC this year. Anybody.
Hey, man.
If I can just jump in and say.
Remember what he just said. Did you hear what he just said? To win that argument, he just said the Texans are Super Bowl contenders. I rest my case.
They are. With all of those dynamics I just highlighted, they are.
MC and
if
John,
a
I don't
team
think y'all can
calls
let him
with a
say that the way I
second
just did. I just
round
want y'all
pick,
to realize that.
if a team
'Cause he
calls with a
hasn't said that
second
all
round
year
pick,
long.
the Houston Texans will
That's
trade
not true,
Davis
Wade.
Mills.
You have not said they're a Super Bowl
Wait,
contender all year long.
I heard you, Hickman. Let me get Wade straight. Wade, truth. I predicted this team would win 10 games again. Actually, I said they win 9 games and they win the division again. I said they win in the wild card round and they get beat in the second round on the road. That was my prediction.
That's not a Super Bowl contender.
If you're one of the last 8, if you're one of the last 8 teams playing in all of the NFL, by definition, you're a Super Bowl contender. Stop this, Wade. Wade, you're doing the thing that John normally does.
I get
It's
it.
okay, man. Sometimes you gotta
I get it.
It's okay.
No,
Go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
No, I will say this: how the Houston Texans run their training camp. I mean, y'all been out there, y'all see. I mean, they, especially in the first like 3 weeks, all quarterbacks are technically getting runs with the ones. But if a team calls with a second round pick, and I don't think Nick Caserio will be here, but let's just say he is, I mean, they would be fools to pass up on a second round pick, especially considering whatever team is calling for a quarterback probably has a good second round pick. So, yeah, and when I look at what Graham Mertz can or can't be, I mean, he'll have another year in this system looking at it from the sidelines and being able to get a full grasp of what the system calls for and the players. So, adios, Davis. Let's get that second round pick and let's build this team.
Casario's whole background is not to be married to any player, bro. So for you to say he would not trade him, that goes against everything that is Nick Caserio and what he's learned in his foundation. Huh?
Who was Nick Caserio's first ever draft selection as a general manager?
It was Davis Mills.
Who did Nick Caserio during the season guarantee another $7 million to for next year?
$7 million is peanuts, Stan.
It's average backup money at this point.
Listen.
I'm listening to you.
He guaranteed the money because he's telling you.
That ain't a lot of money. Ain't a lot of money.
It's not about a lot. Shift the thought. It's not about a lot. It's about the action. The action is I'm committing to my backup quarterback for 2026.
The guy that you drafted over. You drafted over the guy.
They don't
drafted over the guy.
Whoa, Graham Mertz was coming off an ACL. He didn't get healthy until the season started.
No, I'm talking about you drafted C.J. Stroud over Davis
Mills.
Mills.
Course. That's C.J. Stroud. What are we talking about?
That's exactly. So that means anybody can get it. What are you talking about that he would not trade him? What?
I mean,
that's not logical. It's illogical.
We can come back to the game as we were talking about quarterbacks right now. Josh Allen was sacked a career high 8 times, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We could talk about quarterbacks all we want, but we got to highlight this defense a little bit more for the performance tonight.
Yeah, we will do that here in just a second because the defense did a lot of great things. What we can all agree on is Davis Mills did a great job of helping the Texans get through this stretch without C.J. Stroud as he went 3-0 as the starter, and here we are as they sit at 6-5. I have a question about the defense that I'm going to ask you here in a brief moment on the Locked On Texans Squad show. Before we get there, though, let's talk about FanDuel. Hey, the NBA's back. There's no better place to get in on that action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go right now. Head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. The Texans dominate defensively tonight. 8 sacks of Josh Allen, and they win and get to 6-5 on the season. It's the Locked On Texans Squad show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman, and former Texans offensive lineman Wade Smith with you. Guys, defensively, there are, of course, 2 names that get more attention than anybody else because they play that premier position of rushing the passer. They got 2 guys now in double digits on the sack totals already this year, and they're dominant. Will Anderson tonight was an absolute monster. I mean, hell, he even tried to pick off the ball there at the end of the game, and if he did that, that would have been his J.J. Watt moment. Is exactly what I was thinking right there. In all honesty, though, with those guys and really with him, do you think we're going to start hearing Defensive Player of the Year mentioned at all with Will Anderson specifically?
If y'all remember, I said Will Anderson was the second best player on this team to kick off this year. Obviously, I gave it to Derek Stingley first. He's an All-Pro, but from what I see out of Will Anderson, he had one sack where he traveled almost 30 yards to get the sack. He don't stop. He's good in the pass. He's good against the run. He also makes anybody beside him better. He also helps the second level of that defense, and which eventually helps the secondary because they're able to create some secondary turnovers because of how those quarterbacks are getting after those edge rushers are getting after the quarterback and Will Anderson. I think he is one of the top defensive player of the year candidates right now. Obviously, you can look at Myles Garrett and what he's doing in Cleveland, but is what he's doing in Cleveland resulting in wins? I don't think so. They're 2-7 on the year. What Will Anderson is doing right now, come on, Stan. No. What he is doing right now is resulting in wins. It's impacting wins. You're muted. Well, Myles Garrett got 15 sacks from the season. That's great, but they only got 2 wins.
John, did you see Ray's face?
Come on, man.
Did you see Ray? John,
I caught his face. I caught y'all's face.
I really respect
where would
your
you
football.
I do. Before you go, where would you?
We are not living in a world where Will Anderson.
Where would you put Will Anderson? I didn't say
he's not. Will Anderson
put him right now on the list of defensive player of the year. Where would you put him on the defensive player of the year list?
Yes,
behind Myles Garrett.
Behind Myles Garrett. What is Myles Garrett doing that's leading the wins? Tonight led to a win. Last week led to a win.
Myles Garrett does not have another player on the other side of him that is better than him. You do understand that. Oh shoot, why can't I say his name now? Danielle Hunter. You do understand Danielle Hunter is better at the position than Will Anderson is.
That's what we disagree. Not in 2025, we disagree.
Whoa.
In 2025, we disagree.
Who's the reigning AFC Defensive Player of the Week coming into tonight?
Then let's see what's going to happen next week.
Who did the NFL players vote higher between the two?
We're talking about the first 11 weeks of this NFL season. I'm not talking about anything before September of 2025. Right now, are you saying Danielle Hunter is better than Will Anderson? Now.
Yes. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying the margin is wide, but I am saying Will Anderson Jr. is an excellent player. He's probably my favorite player over there, to be honest with you. And he does the same position stylistically. He doesn't have the frame of Danielle. He doesn't have the pass rush moves of Danielle. Will Anderson is still ascending as a defensive. I played a little edge in my day. I can see the moves he's doing. Danielle Hunter is just plateauing at an extremely high level. We all said last year, Danielle Hunter played at an all-pro level last year, and he picked it up, came on a little late this year, but he's been rolling. Yes, Will Anderson had 2.5 sacks tonight. Danielle Hunter had 2. Like, what are we doing? We acting like Danielle Hunter's just a dude out there. And if Myles Garrett had a dude like Danielle Hunter on the other side, his numbers would be even more crazy because you can't slide the protection when there's 2 of them.
Yeah, I would say this about those situations. Like, they're 2 excellent players. Myles Garrett is the best defender, best defensive end in the league, and head and shoulders above everybody else. But when you come to deciding who's going to be the defensive player of the year, wins and losses does play into it a little bit. The Texans aren't at a position right now at 6-5 that you're saying because they're a winning football team that Will Anderson is going to get the nod over a guy like Myles Garrett. And then I think Will Anderson, what he has playing against him is the fact that there's so many damn good football players around him that might take a little bit away from his shine. But anyway you slice it, if he's the defensive player of the year or not, he's a Pro Bowl player. He's in the running for being an All-Pro player. But when you talk about defensive player of the year, that's a whole nother realm. And so I don't know if he's there. I don't know if he's there. If he continues on the same track and he can kind of outpace Danielle, because like I said, right now they're neck and neck. To me, they're totally different, but effectively they're the same. Like, you can't say I'm gonna slide to one and not double and double the other. I'm gonna leave this one guy one-on-one, and I'm gonna double the other, and that's gonna be my game plan. Because that one that you single up, he's gonna kick your ass, and you do the opposite way, that person's gonna kick your ass, and it's gonna they're gonna whoop you in different ways. And so I'm sure for offensive coordinators, it's very difficult to game plan for the Texans defense. But saying all of that, that to me takes away from any possibility of anybody on this defense being a defensive player of the year, because it's the best defense in the league and you have elite players all over the place. You got linebackers that are playing at a very high level, even though they're not considered elite. They got a damn good linebacker crew that's playing well. You have Derek Stingley on the outside. You have Lassiter playing the way he's been playing. You got the ball hawk back there in Bullock. And then you got defensive tackle. Like every time we watch a game, you hear Tommy T, you hear Sheldon Rankins, you hear all these different guys, Tim Settle. It's just a collective, that whole swarm thing that might take away from somebody being a defensive player of the year. And so that's how I would take that. I don't know you can just put one guy that's the best guy on the defense. He's the youngest guy that's elite, so that gets you the most excited about him. But is he actually better? I couldn't say that.
And I don't know if you guys caught this before the game tonight on the pregame show as well. The defensive coordinator, Matt Burke, from all these guys that are playing as well as they are, and of course he's calling the plays now. Apparently he's getting some interest already as a name to watch for head coaching opportunities this offseason. It's amazing what happens when you have a great defense with it. What kind of opportunities it gets you.
He's coming back. I think he may have talked about it. Like I think he's good where he is. In the midst of us talking about this defense and an amazing performance, from y'all eyes, just the job Aziz has done throughout the year, but his impact on tonight's game. Obviously, we look at the pass deflection, which led into the Kalen Bullock interception, but just some of the things that he did in terms of spying Josh Allen, being there throughout the game to kind of make sure that Josh Allen don't break out the pocket and turn some of those could be down at the line of scrimmage into big runs, which we know he can do. When y'all look at Aziz from tonight's game and just throughout the year, what do you want to say about his game?
I think Aziz. Well, go ahead, Stan. Go ahead, Stan.
All right. I think Aziz is the unquestioned captain of that defense. He is an extension of D'Amico Ryans, not just because of the green dot and the helmet, but because obviously their connection going back to their days in San Francisco. And I think D'Amico sees some of his passion, some of his commitment to the game, some of his desire to cover up for guys that may be out of position. Henry Toto knows that he hasn't been in the best tackling position, and to have the right energy and attitude throughout that locker room. He's basically a version of D'Amico. Now, he's not, his ceiling isn't where D'Amico's was, but I remember, and Wade, you may agree, you played against this guy, and I'm not saying stylistically they're the same, but I remember watching Demario Davis for years when he was in New Orleans. And I kept saying, we don't talk about Demario Davis is a straight up dog. And then his recognition came later, right before the age caught up with him. I feel the same way about Aziz, and I actually felt it last year. I know he had the suspension because of the hit on Trevor Lawrence, but I think Aziz, he doesn't have the fanfare. He won't win the fan vote, so to speak. He may not win the media vote. But if you're talking about linebacker play, sideline to sideline, he worked in the offseason to improve his coverage. He was out in one of them tropical environments with Stingley and them. He was out, I don't know if they were in Punta Cana, they were somewhere. He was working out with DBs on coverage skills, trying to bring that and elevate his game. I think Aziz is probably one of the better linebackers that we don't talk about as a league enough. And I wish he wouldn't play. I want him to play within total line, but I need him to stay on this side of the line. Good football player. What are we, second in the tackles tonight, 7 tackles for Aziz.
Aziz is a tone setter, man. He sets the tone for the entire defense, that whole physicality that they want to play with, playing through the whistle, playing on that edge, kind of what Stan was talking about as far as him being on this side of it. I don't mind him playing with that line because people don't look forward to playing the Texans. People do not look forward to having to line up and go across the middle because they know they're gonna get tagged. They know if they run the ball, they're gonna they're not. The thought process is not to pull up. The thought process is to run through somebody. And so he sets the tone for that. I like the comparison to D'Amico as far as that aspect of him being the unquestioned leader of the defense and the captain and the tone setter, and people going off of what he's given, that energy that he brings, and he's making plays. And to me, this is his best season I've seen from him as a Houston Texans football player.
Yes.
And so that being said, that's saying a lot because he's been solid. He's been good ever since he's been here, and he's got a lot of pieces around him that are standout players. But you take him out the mix, the defense ain't the same. Like, it's just not. And so I just, you hope that he continues to play at the level that he's playing and continue to ascend, because that's just going to pay dividends for the Texans as a team, and for sure on that defensive side of the ball. I just love watching that guy play football. He plays the game the right way. He plays the game the way I remember it. And so that can get you in trouble today from time to time, but he plays the game the right way. Like, hey, Tom Brady said it first. He said it best. I thought he talked about how quarterbacks throw their players into bad positions because of the way they throw the ball. Hey, if you're going to put a guy in a bad spot, hey, he going to get hit. Like the hit that the Buffalo Bills DB put on Nico Collins, that was ball. I was very thankful that they didn't throw the flag, even though it would have helped my team, the team that I want to win. Right. I was very thankful they didn't throw the flag because that's ball. You know what I mean? Davis Mills, that throw wasn't necessarily the best. He fit it in there, but it was a dangerous throw. I'm just saying, like, that's ball, and Aziz leads the charge with that.
I wanted to bring Aziz up because look at some of the things that happened last year. 4 penalties last year, only 1 this year. 14 yards per catch last year, under 9 this year, only 221 yards allowed so far this year. This is excluding tonight's game, so those numbers are updated, but just coming into tonight's game. 3 pass breakups, ties last year. Only 1 TD allowed this year compared to 2 last year. And the season ain't over with, but I just look at, Stan, you pointed out, both of you guys kind of pointed out his improvement in coverage, how that has allowed that middle of the field defense to not be as weak as it was last year. Now, if they can get Henry T to come along and, not have this many missed tackles and can be better in open space, and we're looking at an even more elite defense. But we talk a lot about their front four controlling the game for Houston. But if these quarterbacks felt comfortable with attacking Aziz more, how much of that backing of their defense will be compromised? I think his improvement as a player, we don't speak enough about. You mentioned Demario Douglas. Demario Davis. Wow. Because for a long time, you would watch him and be like, why he ain't in these conversations? So, no, kudos to you, Stan, for kind of, comparing.
I'll give you another one. And stylistically a little different, but a guy that was second team All-Pro last year for Washington, Frankie Luvu. Nobody knew who Frankie Luvu was.
A lot.
And he left the Jets, got to Carolina and played well. And then he got up there in Washington and just went absolutely nuts. Yeah. So maybe those type of accolades are coming for Aziz.
Yep. Having a great year. And like you guys said, the leader of the defense, without a doubt. Quick timeout. We'll come back, finish up. I have a question on the future for this football team for the guys as we finish it up here next on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. And would you look at that? Right, look at that. We're right back here on the Squad Show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman, and Wade Smith with you for a few more minutes. Guys, the season now sits at 6-5. We've done a lot of the talking on the game individually tonight, but we know that this is the gauntlet. We've talked a lot about it, the gauntlet that they're in. Buffalo this week. Now they get the nice long rest before they go to Indianapolis. And then, of course, Kansas City after that. But following those games, they're going to have Arizona, Las Vegas, the Chargers, and the Colts one more time. So I want you guys to put your Nostradamus hat on, because this is the first time this year where we've had a football team at 6-5. With that schedule that is remaining, where does this team end up in terms of wins?
I don't even want to call it. I'm along for the ride right now. I think for sure Arizona, for sure Vegas.
Who did they just beat? I know they lost to Dallas, but they beat somebody the week before that, didn't they?
Did they?
I'm not sure. I'm going off the top of my head. I'm sorry, John.
They've got the worst offensive line I've ever seen.
They do.
No, they didn't beat anybody in a while. They beat the Titans and they beat the Patriots week 1.
We didn't have to bring that up. But I think that they'll win those games. I don't want to get into the calling of games right now, but I will tell you what this Buffalo game showed me. How they completely took away Josh Allen from being the MVP. Indy fans got to look at their quarterback and Daniel Jones and how he's played in the last couple of weeks, giving the ball away, fumbling, and all of that. It could get scary for Indy. And if Indy has to become one-dimensional by just leaning on Jonathan Taylor, and if they're not able to have that three-headed monster where they're able to run the ball and Daniel Jones is great as well, two-headed monster rather, then I can favor Houston in that game. So that's what tonight's game kind of showed me. I can look at Indy, and they're not as scary as they was to me now before tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, to your question, MC, how many of those 6 games do I feel like they can win? I feel like they can win all the games. I feel like the way that this league is set up is that there's no dominant team in the AFC. There's no dominant team in the NFL. Like, who's the most dominant team in the NFL? I don't know. Like, Philadelphia continues to win, but they don't look good doing it.
They hate each other, apparently. They hate their quarterback.
You're talking about Philly, you're talking about Seattle, you're talking about Indianapolis.
Seattle starting to look like Sam Darnold's kind of going back.
Talking about New England.
Like
Those are really.
You got a bunch of teams that are playing last place schedules.
Yeah. And to be fair with New England, they're better. How many of those guys have playoff experience? We know that matters. Stephon, Carlton Davis, Big Milton. But outside of that, the best offensive lineman rookie, Trevion Henderson rookie, Drake May second year. I can't even roll with them to make a real push. They'll get there, but all of these teams in the AFC are extremely beatable.
Yeah, I just look at it like this. The Texans are an offense that has continued to improve. The defense is like, I like what I saw that Jalen Reed stepping in and playing. He made a bunch of plays. Like, it's showing
led the team in tackles tonight, Wade.
Led the team in tackles. Okay, good. That's what it felt like watching the game. Like, he was continuing to come down and making plays, and he had some swagger with him. He was playing with confidence. I just like what I've seen with that. They believe that they are the best defense in the league. They walk in the building feeling that way. Sometimes stats might say, hey, we're the best, but it's a difference when you walk in the gym and you're not finna piss a drop. We finna run through y'all. We finna dictate how this game is gonna go. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing out of it. So all 6 of those games are winnable games. Now, are they going to continue to play well up front as an offensive line? Or are they going to continue to play mistake-free ball as far as penalties on the defense side of the ball? Are they going to clean up these explosive plays that they've been giving up? Because they gave up multiple explosive plays today.
Oh, the hook and ladder on 4th and 27. I saw through my phone. I said, "Are you
45-yard right up the
I dropped my beer.
Dalvin Cook to start the game. The game didn't start off the best now, especially defensively. It didn't start off the best. And so there's some things that they're going to work on. But I like that because I know that's something that D'Amico's going to have to come into when he show that film and say, look at this. We can't continue to give up stuff like this. The defense has been opportunistic. I saw the stat on there where they have the most interceptions than anybody in the league over the last couple of years. They added to that tonight. They're going to turn the ball over. They're going to turn people over. They're going to create opportunities for the offense. If the offense can continue to improve, you get C.J. Stroud back, you get your receiving core that is continuing the young guys to play better and to progress and to mature into the league. And then you got Christian Kirk coming back that made multiple catches tonight. I'm trying to play up to the reason why you brought him here. You still got Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz having his best year since he's been a Texan. Like, there's a lot of things to be excited about. And so when I look at those 6 games, nobody on those 6 games scared me. If nobody scares me, then why are we not winning all these games?
So
honestly, you look at that schedule too, and that game against Kansas City, the Kansas City game is
if they go
massive.
out and play, if they go
6-0,
so they can win. They can win all 6.
They can win all 6 games.
To your point, MC, it's going to be incumbent that the Texans beat this Kansas City Chiefs team. I know they got to take care of the Colts first, but they could be the nail in Kansas City's coffin for the season.
Yeah. Because
Good.
if they
'cause
pull
I
that
don't
off,
think
they'll have the
Detroit-
tiebreaker over Buffalo, Baltimore, and
Baltimore.
Kansas City. Like, that's huge.
And then you
And
got the split with
it's never
Jacksonville.
been that case. It's never been that case with this organization.
Yeah.
Those teams that you just named out, you're right. I don't think we've ever beat 2 out of those 3 teams in the same season. We've beat one year. We might beat one another, but I don't think we beat all 3 of those teams in the same season ever.
Especially not in this era.
And what is it? Did I see something
Not in
go
any
across?
era.
I saw some go across my Twitter X. The Buffalo Bills have never won in Houston, or they 1-8 in Houston, or something like that. Like, this has not been a very pleasant environment for them to come into. MC, quickly, I'll give you. I think the Texans are going to end with 9 wins. I think they're going to end where I said they would. I think they're going to end whatever that is, 9-8. Is that right? Yeah, I got them at 9-8.
Still in the mix. I mean, I'd put you in the mix.
Now,
But
I did bury them. I buried them when they were 0-3, and I was like, I don't know that they could make up the ground to sneak into the postseason. So let's see what continues to happen. I think the thing that I'm most proud of, just as a signing off shot for me, so many times this season, the Rams game, Seattle, who else did we say? Tampa. The defense would play championship level defense, and then they'd have that breakdown late in the ball game and not make a tackle or not turn the ball over or get a penalty. They didn't do that today. They finished the game today. And the offense, the Texans offense didn't win the time of possession. The Buffalo Bills had the ball for the most. I think it was like a 3.5 minute difference right off the top of my head. So I'm just really proud that they didn't give up, even though that 4th and 27 was dicey.
That was crazy.
Even when they got the ball down there, they were able to hold on and sack Josh Allen and then intercept him and pick him off to win the game.
Oh, real quick, I just looked at it. Last time the Bills won in Houston was 2006. They've only won in Houston twice, 2002 and 2006. Texans now lead the all-time series, 8-5 overall against them, 7-5 in the regular season, then of course 1-0 in the postseason, which is not like Buffalo was bad for a long time too, so that helps. But yeah, so there you go. Wade and John, your final thoughts here on the night.
I'm gonna take 2 shots. Shot number 1.
Double?
Yeah, I'm taking a double. Number 1, how often did we hear Derek Stingley name tonight? I'm taking a shot for Derek Stingley because I know he ain't gonna do it. Shot number 2, first half only. This is a half a shot. Nick Caley did, I think, a great job of helping his team in the red zone. 2 or 3 in the red zone in that first half. That was the difference maker because in the second half, they weren't able to kind of capitalize on some of the things the defense did. But we talk about this team continuing to ascend. Has it been great? No, it hasn't been perfect. But there's been some improvements from the first-year play caller, Nick Caley, that I think you just got to recognize and highlight.
My partner shot is this. I tell you what, the history of the Texans organization, primetime games has not been the greatest. For them to play as well as they played tonight,
At home.
look as good as they look tonight, Stan mentioned it with the jerseys, the production of there have been some Texans fans that were created after watching that game tonight. No question about it. People that ain't from Houston, people that ain't from the state of Texas, that watched that game and said, man, I kind of like them. They play with swag. They physical. They getting after people. The H-Town music, the jerseys hard. Like I really thoroughly enjoyed the fact that they played well in a primetime situation. They looked good while they did it, and they came out with the dub, man. So that's my partner shot. Shout out
Wait, to your
the entire
point,
organization.
my man Sean from New York, this is what he said on Twitter. This might be the greatest defensive performance I've ever seen. The Texas defense, the line in particular, is playing out of their freaking minds. My boys are from New York, man. So
it was a lot of national people. I was looking at Twitter X during the game.
Yeah,
they finally had to watch a Texans game, and they get to, have to recognize something.
It's like they actually had to watch the game, other than that debacle up in Seattle, and they were like, and I've been saying it for D'Amico the last 2 years. And yes, we know the home and road splits for most teams. There's a difference. D'Amico has a final way for when this team goes on the road, especially in December and January. They have to have that type of swag, Wade. You got to have that type of energy, and that's what makes you a champion.
Texas fans got to travel because they were all them games that I would tweet you before the game. The NRG looked like it was popping tonight.
Bro, listen.
Bills fans were there, but Texas fans were there.
Y'all mentioned the Legion of Boom earlier. They took that show on the road. The Baltimore Ravens defense always travel. You know, those Tampa Bay defenses led by Todd Bowles, they gonna get after you on the road. Like Philly, when you play Philly, you know this is gonna be physical, and we're gonna do what we do on the road. To me, that's the next step to take this team. Wade, that's why I said at the beginning of the year, it's probably gonna be one win in the postseason and then done, because they haven't shown me yet that they can take these type of performances on the road. Next week, they'll have the opportunity to.
They will. They'll get a nice long break before that, which is nice as well to rest up and get ready for it. This show will be back on Tuesday, so we will have a nice long break as well between shows. Come back and join us for that. And, of course, we'll be with you when the Texans play the Colts again next week. And for Wade, John, and Stan, I'm Michael. Thank you for joining us for the Locked on Texans Squad show.